Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. It is, of course, the Fruit Nut News on, of course, what day are we today? Let's have a look. Today is, of course, Sunday, of course, the 5th of July. As you well know, we are rather close to the game. Oh, hail the game. Oh, hail the game. Okay, bow down the Muppets. Oh, bow down the Muppets. Know what I mean? Anyway, very interesting. I shan't be fucking watching it. But, yeah, good evening, everyone. We're all okay. It is, of course, the 5th of July. July the 4th was yesterday. As you well know, you may have caught the back end of it somewhere along the line. But anyway, there you go. So, quick hello to everybody. Mary's in, Diane's in, Joanne's in, Karen Moore's in, Chris Taylor's joining us, Glenn Pearson's in, Bill Geo's in, Sheila Douglas is in, Dawn's in, Canalboat Collins in, Belinda's joining us, Lisa Thurwell's in, Looney Lena's in, Kira's in, Ann Taylor's joining us, Sue Allen's in, Leslie Ann's in, Pamela Green is in, and of course Kelly Close. So good evening, everybody. Hope we're all okay. So what have we got for you tonight then? Well, of course, the 5th of July 2026 starts off with what should we start off with? Well, let's start off with Donald Trump, of course, withdrawing from NATO. If you don't know anything about this, you must have been fast asleep. But it's clear now that Donald Trump has withdrawn from NATO, and of course this is going to have ramifications. Now remember that the EU and of course the UK and Israel rely heavily on NATO forces. Now, NATO forces are made up of 80% American. And so if Donald Trump is withdrawing from NATO, then unfortunately we don't seem to have a NATO, which means that the NATO force, so to speak, is basically non-existent, which means that however way you look at it, Donald Trump has got a very good control, of course, of the military situation. Whether you like that or not is really, really irrespective. But what it means from a global point of view is, of course, that NATO cannot now dictate to the world, or should we say Israel and the UK and Europe cannot now dictate to the world what actually happens. Now, it's my genuine belief that, of course, President Putin and, of course, Xi Jinping and all of the other leaders around the world are working together, to basically bring down the legendary cabal, or should we say the deep state, or as I like to call them, the bad gang. Now, the bad gang are infiltrated into every single organization, every single country, every single thing that you can think of. Westminster, the political system, Labour, Reform, everything. BBC, absolutely everything. They are fundamentally entrenched. What you need to, need to remember, we need to also take into consideration. A few days ago, remember, it was said that Obama was going to take over and chief of NATO. Not sure when it will happen. It certainly won't happen in capacity. Storm thing going to happen, but of course, it would be sort of like a theatrical no. Remember, of course, that if of course Keir Starmer does move well, unfortunately, there won't be anything for so Keystone won't plan, so to speak. So it's very, very, and remember, of these things, of the course, fundamentally, operations, all that, by fundamental on the American support in regards to making these things happen. So let's just look at the Iraq situation. The Iraq situation in Iraq. Looks like we've got a picture freezing, apparently. Not sure why that's happening. Let me have a quick look here. Very interesting. Let me have a quick look. Now, I don't know whether it's freezing at the moment. Not quite sure. Picky sweet. Tell you what I'll do. Just give me 2 seconds. Let me take the phone outside. It could be. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. So I've just took the phone outside, so hopefully that should rectify the problem that we've got. So where were we? NATO, ridiculous. Yeah, so as we can well see now, the Europeans and of course the UK and of course Israel are now panicking massively because, of course, of this withdrawal. Now, remember, please remember, ladies and gentlemen, that these things don't just happen overnight. You don't just switch off NATO. It takes like time for that to happen. And I think that people often are waiting for this this thing that is going to just go bang and all of a sudden it's going to be over. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that is not going to happen. It's probably going to be fast, but it's going to be more on a gradual fastness. Does that make sense? I mean, we've come a long way in the last 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Once we now look back and start to piece everything together, we can now see what the goal of the good gang was trying to achieve back in the day with all kinds of different things. Now, of course, you can clearly see now that the European leaders are closing ranks and trying to call down Trump as much as they can. Okay, so this is this is really a good thing, because of course, we know that they've lost. I mean, they know that they've lost. Unfortunately, they've got to carry on, of course, until the bitter end. And of course, if you do know anything about narcissistic characters, you know that narcissistic characters will actually cut their own hand off or nose to spite their own face. They are that narcissistic, and these people are probably 10 times as worse. So the prediction is that NATO will be gone by around about the end of July. We've also now got the UN now. The United Nations is also coming into disrepute, should we say. What's this? I don't know whether you can see that on your screen. It said something along the lines of the 5th of July 2026, Can you see that? Oh, it's gone now. Oh, here we go. Well, there we go. Yeah. You know, and so, what's going on? What's going on? So, yeah. Now, the other interesting thing that we wanted to tell you as well, a lot of people are not following the mainstream news and the mainstream stuff of what's going on, i.e. with the World Cup and all this kind of thing. But there are a lot of communications going on. The powers that be are clearly talking to us. Clearly. Now, Donald Trump, remember this one where Donald Trump said they are eating cats and dogs, okay? And they are not even stopping at swans. Remember that? Headlines today from Ireland, migrants are feasting on dogs. There you go. And also as well, remember Donald Trump said, we are going to Mars. We are going to Mars very soon. Okay, can you remember he said this? This is a few weeks ago now. It's probably been repeated. We are going to Mars very soon. It's not Mars, okay? What it means is that it means the military auxiliary radio system. We are going to. We could say that we are switching to the military auxiliary radio station, which is EBS. EBS is the emergency broadcasting system, etc., etc. We haven't got 33 people in the house, so we must be doing it. Now, apparently, Trump repeated this apparently last night during, I presume it was during his 4th of July speech. So there are a lot of things that are happening. Okay, that you need to pay attention to. Formula One. This is another interesting one. Formula One, of course, the Silverstone Grand Prix. Don't you find it funny that we've got Silverstone, Wimbledon, the World Cup, the Rugby Nations? Everything seems to be going on together. It's as if the whole timeline has been banged into 1 week. Know what I mean? Very interesting. Anyway, the Formula One yesterday, was it yesterday or today? Finished under a safety car. A safety car. Now, what does this mean? Well, could that be a safe finish for everyone? Maybe. Could it be a warning? A warning light comes on. A warning light has come on. Remember the safety car? Okay. So anyway, very interesting. Rupert Lowe, of course, was in Texas earlier, and he was speaking on the Joe Rogan show. Joe Rogan show, big presenter type guy, a big audience. Joe Rogan was on that. That's an interesting one. Donald Trump had a state fair. Apparently, the state fair was shut down just because it was too hot, apparently, and too dangerous. Then of course we have Toddy Blanche. Toddy Blanche has been brought in, and a statement from Toddy said that we need to protect the Epstein victims. Well, we do know that, Todd. We do know that victims need to be protected. However, listen, let's just fucking release the files and get on with the fucker. All right? Let's not piss around anymore. Okay? We've been waiting long enough now. Epstein files, JFK, 9/11, COVID, fucking hell, come on. Let's just get it done and dusted, and we can be on our way down the fucking road, heading towards the golden age. Okay? What else have we got? Spain. Spain have banned Palantir. Now, Palantir is the company that is basically taking over, of course, the NHS in some kind of a security breach. I mean, fucking hell, we can't get much more than a security breach than we've got on the borders of Dover and all of these migrants that are stabbing everybody up everywhere. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Like, according to the mainstream media and the news, it is getting worse. Whether or not it's getting worse or not, of course, is open to a certain amount of debate. But anyway, there we go. What else have we got? Oh, yeah, people are still talking about the 2020 election being rigged. Now, I'm not quite sure about this. Some people still are not aware that the 2020 election was rigged. Some people are still not aware, apparently, that a lot of other elections around the world are rigged. Yes, very interesting. Now, remember, of course, that it does take a while for the word to get out. But, I mean, 7, 8, 9, 10 years is a little bit fucking ridiculous. It just shows the level of, should we say, programming that people have been under. Very interesting. Now, we'll have to nip over to the Border Force while we're on to the subject. Now, the Border Force, of course, apart from a big shout out to the Border Force for making cups of tea and biscuits for the illegal people coming into the country. Much appreciated. Big shout out from the UK people. Fuck off. Border Force, yeah. Now, apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently it is illegal to bring in foreign plants into the UK because it could affect and damage the ecosystem. Very interesting. However, thousands of migrants, illegal migrants, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that have had no security checks. They pose a security risk to the country until, of course, you find out who they are. They've had no medical checks. We don't know what diseases they're carrying or anything like that. They've had no mental health checks. This seems to be a very strong theme running through, of course, a lot of the atrocities that are taking place. Mental health. These people seem to be mentally ill. Now, whether or not that's due to programming or due to brainwashing, I don't know. But some of the things that these people are doing suggest to me, their behaviour suggests to me, when I watch their body language, that they are mentally impaired. Very interesting. So, I mean, are we not doing checks on that? No, clearly not. And no criminal checks either. Seems as though we're just giving them a cup of tea and a digestive biscuit, putting them in a 4-star hotel, feeding them, and, of course, giving them some money, providing buses to the local schools, and allowing them to rape any fucker in sight. It just seems to be the way that it is. But, of course, that's democracy. That is, of course, British democracy at its finest. And, of course, European democracy as well. The Europeans are, of course, finding out very quickly that these characters are somewhat on the deranged spectrum, so to speak. So, anyway, we shall wait and see. But, as Keir Starmer says, you can't beat a good rape in the UK. Apparently, that's what he says. I'm not for that. But anyway, now remember the film The Citizen Vigilante. This was a film that was brought out a few days ago. Apparently, there's a sequel to this as well. Now, the Muslim Council of Britain have complained to Ofcom about the movie. I mean, clearly, they're going to complain. However, it's noted that the same council, ladies and gentlemen, the same council has actually said nothing about their own people that are doing the rape gangs, the pedos, and has said nothing about the victims of their own people. I mean, isn't that pretty amazing that the Muslim Council of Great Britain, complains to Ofcom about a vigilante film portraying Muslims, and however, the same council don't actually say anything about their own people actually doing the rape gangs and the raping, etc., etc., etc. Pretty amazing that, really, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the pink ladies, of course, have been on Dover Beach. Now, they've been clad in pink, as you well know. Oh, fucking hell. Now, we've got to talk about the pink men in London. Now, while, of course, the pink ladies were in Dover, protesting against the, against the unchecked illegal immigration that the police and the border force and the powers that be and Keir Starmer seems to be protecting and looking after, which is a criminal offence anyway. Meanwhile, while the pink ladies are there doing that, here we have hundreds of, I don't know, supposed men that are prancing around London in some very interesting attire and pretending to be pink men. I don't know about you. I really, really don't know about you. About them. It just beggars belief. It just really does beg belief. Don't forget, tonight is the England match. Of course, 1 a.m. I think it is. It's been brought forward so that people can. Well, I'm not sure why it's been brought forward actually, but apparently it's something to do with incoming storms. Brilliant. You can't beat a good. Since when has an incoming storm, right? I'm not being funny, right? Since when is an incoming storm, right? Made football cancel a major game. Whenever has that happened, eh? And apparently the movie, The Vigilante, the Citizen Vigilante, apparently got 17 million views. Very interesting. Not a little interesting number there. You know what I mean? There you go. Very interesting. So the match tonight, England-Mexico. Now, the Simpsons did predict that the score would be 4-3 to Mexico. Apparently, it's going to go to penalties. I don't know. The writer of The Simpsons seems to be pretty on point. Whether or not he still is or not, I don't know. But anyway, we shall wait and see. The absolutely hilarious thing would be, for me personally, if England faced the USA in the final. That would be, if that happened, I'd be like, yeah, White Hat's in control. Anyway, and then of course we've had very, very few politicians, very few, President Trump, very few of them have said very little about the World Cup. They've kind of just let it play out, etc., etc. Of course, we've had Kate's pop back up for Wimbledon. David Beckham's pop back up for Wimbo as well. He's there apparently sporting a brand new watch that he's fucking selling. What a fucking arsehole. He's into everything, that boy, isn't he? Anyway, he queued up to get a knighthood from an old lady that was dead. Fucking hell, come on. How low can you go? Seriously, how low can you go to queue up for a dead lady just to get a knighthood from the king a couple of years later, eh? What an absolute bell end is our Dave, eh? Now, of course, we've had a few of the Israeli friends come out, okay? The Israeli friends have come out and obviously done this was on the Laura Klunsberg show today. So at the end, Laura said, some of our friends are going to wish England a very good game tonight. And there they were. First one was Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House, an absolute Israeli fanatic. Absolutely Israeli. Then we had Ed Davey, Boris Johnson, Andy Burnham. I think Starmer was on it too. Rachel Reeves as well. Kemi Badenoch, all of them friends of Israel. Now, all of these people, okay, are openly okay with the killing, okay, and murdering and shooting of men, women, and children, okay, in not only Gaza, but now also Lebanon. Yes. So these are friends of Israel, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? These are people that advocate for death, war, okay, etc., 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 at the expense of the death, okay, at the death of children, which is absolutely abominable. And do you know do you know what they do to get away with this? They would call somebody like me or Jeremy Corbyn. They would call us anti-Semitic. It's a very little word, but of course it's what we call a power play word. It's a word that's used to dumb down the masses that can't fucking think for themselves, because of course they're fed everything. And you know, and as you well know, what happens in these scenarios, of course, that fear gets brought in as a tool to try and control and steer the masses. So, of course, we have the fear of Russia invading. We have the fear of Ukraine failing and not being able to stop Russia from invading. It's all bollocks. It's all absolute bollocks. And yet so many people can't see it. Iraq was exactly the same. Weapons of mass destruction. We're all going to die. We've got to invade Iraq. We've got to invade Iraq because they've got weapons of mass. They never found any weapons of mass destruction. There was never any fucking Colonel Gaddafi. Oh, we've got to kill Colonel Gaddafi because Colonel Gaddafi is, of course, you know, he's a freedom guy. He's a good guy, so we need to get rid of him because he's going to bring the African states together and they're going to be a superpower and they're going to be against us. Fucking hell. I mean, the playlist, ladies and gentlemen, the old book is so old, it's untrue. It's untrue. And they just keep playing. It's the same playbook. It's the same playbook, ladies and gentlemen, day after day after day after day. And do you know what? What happens is that when you start thinking for yourself and when you start realizing what's going on, it's actually the fear actually becomes boredom. You know, you know what I mean? I mean, remember Colonel Gaddafi, right? So, I mean, Colonel Gaddafi was a great man, looked after his people. Libya was a very liberal country. I mean, it's an absolute fucking shithole now. And that's because, you know, it's because the fucking Muslim Brotherhood got in and fucked everything up. Irrespective of whether you want to believe that or not is entirely up to you. I don't really care. And of course, what was the false flag for Colonel Gaddafi? Well, of course, it was the Lockerbie bombing. So they brought down a jet. Okay, they killed people supposedly, and then of course it was Colonel Gaddafi's fault. Yeah, he was using the pea shooter at Heathrow Airport. Fucking what a load of bollocks. And then of course, you know, and then we witnessed the fall of Libya. The fall of Libya, one of the great one of the great free nations of the world, rich country, just absolutely destroyed by the West. Absolutely destroyed by the West. You can see it happening now in the UK. You can see it happening, the same, different, little bit of a different story, but it's just the same playbook. It's just the same playbook. Iran, exactly the same, it's just unbelievable. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for getting rid of the bad gang, getting rid of the regimes and all that. Fucking get them fucked off right out the way. But, there's so many of them, Colonel Gaddafi was just a great example. I think, you got something like $5,000 when you got married. When you had a child, you got $5,000. It was put in a bank account. Libyan people were one of the richest people on the planet. It's like now in Norway. Like Norwegian people are the richest people on the planet simply because they've got a wealth fund that basically funds their infrastructure and pays the oil that they sell is used to create a wealth fund that is invested. Okay, that is invested, and then that money goes to pay the Norwegian people. The Norwegian oil is actually British oil. This is the whole thing. And so when we look at Norway, we should be like Norway. We should have a wealth fund that looks after our NHS, it looks after our infrastructure, looks after our cars, our buses, our trains, our health services, our councils, etc., etc. That's what should be happening. But of course, the colonial British arseholes don't want that. They've spent the best part, they spent all of my lifetime trying to destroy the working man and trying to continue to keep people in fear. And they do that very successfully because, of course, most people are still under the kibosh, so to speak. And then, of course, we've got this big thing now going on between Muslims. And I actually heard the other day, this was a prominent Pakistan guy, and he came out and he was talking about the Pakistan community. And what he was saying is that the Pakistan community must speak out about the atrocities that have been taking place in Rochdale and Manchester and all that. They must stop. He told them, you've got to stop protecting your brothers and your fathers and your sons that are doing these atrocities. He was particularly talking to the women, of course. And he was talking to the men as well. And he was saying that, that there is going to be nothing less left of the Pakistan community if people do not speak out. And I would suggest that that is the same for the Christian community, the Hindu community, the Sikh community, the Muslim community. If people don't start speaking out about this utter rape and violence and corruption and atrocities against women and girls and rape gangs and this culture, then, well, we're not going to really get very far, are we? Yeah, we're not going to really get very far, are we? And of course, a lot of it is all down to fucked up religion. It's absolutely fucked up religion. And it's been proven. It's been proven that I think it was, in fact, I'm not going to say that because it's a bit controversial, that. But anyway, so I'll keep that to myself. But it has been proven in all faiths that the truth about the faith, the truth about God, the truth about etc., is not been told. So people cannot be religious because they've never been told the truth. And that leads us on to the truth. The truth. What does that mean? What does it mean to be given the truth? Are you really ready for the truth? Did you watch the clip that I gave you about the Truman Show? It was very, very interesting. And one of the things that I noted more than anything about it all was, of course, that the gatekeepers of the prison are not prison guards. They are just normal people. They are trying desperately to protect their own prison. And there was an experiment done many years ago. Where I think it was a prisoner escaped from a prison, and he went outside and he proved that he came back with his suntan. He proved that it was great out there. It was wonderful. There was free water and free this and free sunshine, and you could sleep under the stars. And when he came back to the prison, they killed him. They fucking killed him. Because even though he tried to tell them the truth, they were so brainwashed into the system that they were already in that, of course, they couldn't accept it. And this is what the problem that we've got. And there's a very famous scene in The Matrix, a very, very famous scene in The Matrix. And it's a guy called Sirius. I think his name's Sirius, I think he is, which is quite an interesting name. Anyway, so Sirius is... So, of course, what happens is Neo obviously finds out, all about it. He's obviously made to come free. But a bit later on in the movie, Sirius turns on his friends. And the reason that he turns on his friends, and he says that, and he's got a bit of steak in his hand, and he goes, even though I know that the steak is not real, I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to defend it. Even though he knew it was not real, the steak in his hand wasn't real, but he's going to defend it. And this is the problem that we've got. And so people say that they want the truth. They say that they want all this shit and et cetera, et cetera. And, it's a really, really interesting and thought-provoking film about the Truman Show. And it's also thought-provoking from the point of view of, when you do have the truth, where are you going to sit with it? When you, when you wake up to the atrocities of what's going on, when you wake up to the real world, so to speak, there's that very, very temptation to get back into the car and carry on your day as if nothing had happened. And it's a strong emotion. It's a very, very strong emotion. And there are many people that do that. They come to a stage, they have an enlightening moment, they realise what they've got, what's happening, they realise what's happening around the world, and then they fall back into the fold, so to speak. So very interesting. Anyway, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure today on this 5th of July. Tomorrow, of course, is the 6th of July, Monday the 6th. It will be interesting to see what happens tonight. Cypher, not Sirius, Cypher. I'm sorry about that. Cypher, his name was. Of course, he wants to go back into the Matrix because, well, he doesn't like the outside of it, the blandness of it, etc., etc. So he wants to continue to lie to himself in order to protect his own inner sanctuary, so to speak. Anyway, listen, I'm off. Love you loads. Take care. You have a great evening. Hope you all enjoyed it. And what was the other thing I was going to say? I was going to say something else about that. Oh yeah, our journey. I want to give this some thought, because it's quite thought-provoking thing. Our journey. I want you to think about our journey. I want you to think about, most of you have been with me for the last 6, 7, 8 years, however long it is. I want you to think about our journey. Where is that heading? What are we doing? What are we here to do? Obviously we're here to spread the light and bring joy to the world and try and light up the darkness, so to speak, and all that. But it's worth thinking about our journey, or should we say your journey. Remember, all of our journeys are sort of together, but they're all separate. Does that make sense? So all of the things that have happened to me, completely different to all of the things that have happened to you. Like, I'm on my journey, you're on your journey, Donald Trump's on his journey, President Putin's on his journey. We're all on journeys. It's going to be interesting to see what the outcome of those journeys are when it all comes together. Anyway, love you loads, take care. We'll see you all again tomorrow, and have a great evening.